Hey everyone, welcome to the month of July. I want to talk about our spiritual focus topic today. The title of that is called You Broke Me. I have some notes here. I wrote down some bullet points that I am going to be glancing at every now and then. So if it looks like I look off screen, that's the reason I'm doing that. And that will probably happen every time I make a video for our spiritual focus topic. Just to let you know, if I look away, that's what I am doing. So our spiritual focus topic today references times in our life where we feel broken. Times in our life where we feel separate from ourselves, separate from a situation, separate from a relationship. Sometimes we don't know who we are anymore. We don't know why we're here anymore. And we find ourselves in a state of broken. I want to talk about how to come out of that state of broken, how to get back to ourselves, how to realize how we became broken in the first place. So the way that we go about coming back to ourselves is through the idea of forgiveness. And we're going to get there, and I'm going to talk about how we do that. But the way that we have to begin this process of coming out of a broken state is to recognize a few different things. For example, our self-definition. Self-definition is huge because a self-definition describes who we are everywhere we go. So I have a self-definition as a mom. So I'm a mom everywhere I go. If I go grocery shopping, I'm a mom. If I go out with my friends, I'm a mom. If I go to work, I'm a mom. Everywhere I go, I am a mom. That's called a self-definition. Some people self-define maybe by their career. So they are a software engineer, or they are a teacher, or they are a banker, or whatever they are, but they self-define as that, so that no matter where they go, that is what they are, and that is what they self-define as. So the first thing that we have to do coming out of an experience of brokenness is to describe to ourselves, to reflect on ourselves, what is our self-definition? What are the self-definitions that can actually break me? Well, it depends how deeply defined we are by that thing. So if our career is our self-definition, we put 120,000% into that. Like, we give our life up for that. If our self-definition is that we are a parent, maybe we give every single part of ourself to that. We all have a tendency to give 100% or more to the thing that we define ourselves to be. So that's important about the self-definition. Now, the challenges that come from your self-definition is, how do you arrive at the part of it being a description of the self? When do you develop that? When do you do that? Traditionally, we start to hold on to our self-definition in our life by the outside world's response to our effort. So when we're a little kid, if we take a dance class and, everybody in the world thinks that we are just the best dancer, we begin to define ourselves as a dancer. If people say, oh my gosh, you're like the best, computer programmer in the world, then the people around us tell us these things, and they validate the effort that we're putting into something. So oftentimes we gather our self-definition because the response from the outside world says we're good to go. This is what we do great. This is who we are, and the world tells us that. That's traditionally how we begin to gather our self-definition. Within that self-definition, we have emotional dependencies, and those emotional dependencies are connected to the way that we gathered our self-definition. So if I'm a software engineer and I gather a self-description, I can say, I am a software engineer everywhere I go. That's my title. That's my career. Who told me I was a software engineer? Maybe college told me. Maybe I went to school for it. I received a degree for it, and the people at the school, and I have a certificate that says that that's what I am. And so now I can self-define that way. But when I graduate college, I'm going to have to go to a job, and I'm going to have to redefine myself at that job based on my career. I'm the new guy. I'm the low man on the totem pole. So I'm going to work a little extra harder, and I'm going to do more work. And I might not go out this weekend because I have all this work to do for work. So I'm going to just blow off my weekend and kind of, really put a lot of focus on this job. And so what ends up happening is that we end up developing an emotional dependency on the response of the employer, on the response of the people in our life that tell us, oh yeah, you're the best at that, you're really great at that. And so what ends up happening is that we develop an emotional dependency on the people at work. We develop an emotional dependency with our friends. Maybe we define ourselves to be the best mom in the world, or we think we're good moms and we want to be the best mom, so we put our all into our children and we just do it over and over. And when they're little kids, oh my gosh, they validate that, right? They say, you're the best mommy in the world. And so now you acquire and you develop, as time goes, this self-definition, and it's incremented and it's enhanced and it's validated by the people outside of us. Right? So that develops an expectation from their end that we're supposed to be a certain way. And it also kind of puts us on a little bit of a hamster wheel, because if we want to keep receiving that validation, keep holding on to the thing that we define ourselves by, that's where we start to lose ourselves, right? Is in that, in that emotional dependency, with that situation or that purpose. So you want to pay attention to how much of your self-definition requires the outside world to validate that effort. And if they don't validate that effort, does that rip out your solar plexus? Does that rip out your self-description, where you find yourself thinking, oh my gosh, I literally have done everything I can for that job. I've worked 80 hours a week. They just want more and more and more. They're not happy with the extra effort that I'm putting in. I don't even get a comp day for the extra effort that I'm putting in. A lot of parents feel that self-definition challenge as well through that emotional dependency. Like, oh my gosh, you guys just had Christmas. You got everything you wanted. How could you come to the store and ask for more? This is what happens. We start to define ourselves by that person or those people telling us that we did a good job. And if we hold on to that, then the minute that they are upset with us, the minute that they don't agree with what we're putting in or anything, then they get upset with us. And that shoots off our solar plexus. It shoots off our self-definition. It says, oh, you defined yourself to be a good mom, but you're not. Oh, you defined yourself to be, a computer programmer, but you didn't write that module the right way. So sometimes when those emotional dependencies happen, what ultimately happens is that the other person or the outside situation that we depend on for that validation, it holds our self-definition in the palm of its hand. We don't hold it in the palm of our hand. And that's where discrepancy comes in between ourselves and the career, or ourselves and our children, or ourselves and our husband or our wife or our best friend. Expectations are developed because we are validated, because we overextend ourselves. The moment that we cannot overextend ourselves because our life took over, because we're a little bit busy and we don't have the amount of sacrifice available, because we've already given it all, and they get upset with us, or the career gets mad, or the boss gets mad, then that says, uh-oh, I've lost my self-definition, and now I kind of feel broken and separate from them. I don't know who I'm supposed to be for them anymore. I don't know what they think I am for them anymore, what I thought I was for them. Maybe I'm not there for them, but I defined myself that way. And so that puts us into an inner argument with ourselves, where we end up breaking ourselves down. So be careful of your emotional dependencies, because they can rock the boat if you have too much dependency on them to validate it. Okay, the next thing that you want to do after you come through that part of the reflection is to go back to those things that broke you and come up with your own level of measurement. So there's a bazillion people in the world, and you're going to have a lot of jobs through the course of your life. And my mom used to tell me all the time, you can't please everybody. And you can't please everybody. But when our emotional dependency for our self-definition requires that the outside world solidify our self-definition, well, that's where we get broken. So we can't depend on their approval or disapproval to solidify our own self-definition. So I guess then the way that we fix that is by setting up our own level of measurement. What do I think is a good career professional? What would I expect from an employee that worked for me? What do I expect of myself as an employee? How many hours should I put in? How many extra hours should I put in? Should I study more for my job? So maybe I decide that 40 hours a week is what you're supposed to work. That's what's required by law. But I'm the type of person that I do like to put a little bit extra in, and I do like to get my job done, and I don't want to feel overwhelmed tomorrow. So when I get home, maybe I'll always give myself an extra hour, or I'll stay an extra hour later at work, because I do want to know within myself that I am actually living up to my own expectations. So I'm probably going to say I could potentially work 9 or 10 hours a day, because that makes me feel good about me. That's a level of measurement I set up for myself. So it's not going to matter what they say. It's only going to matter that I lived up to myself. So maybe I can't work 80 hours a week because another self-definition I have is that I'm a mom. So I can only really put 10 hours into my work so that when I go home, I can spend that quality time the remainder of the evening with my children, because I also self-define there. So what we do when we set up our level of measurement for the different things that we are putting effort into is define all of them all together, because you're going to need a balance between being a mom and going to work, and being a friend or being a support or a caregiver for somebody else. You're going to have to balance that self-definition, that expectation from the outside world, into your balance of each one of those things. When you do that, you do reach a level of what do you expect of yourself, because you literally have it written down on paper. You have a whole mind map of, okay, I define myself as a mom. What do I expect a good mom to be? Do I live up to that? Do I live up to my own promises as a mom? Well, if I'm working 80 hours a week, chances are I'm going to fall short on the mom side. So how can I develop my level of measuring myself as a mom and measuring myself as a career professional and bring that balance into place? So it's not going to be about how I make my boss happy or how I make my children happy. The first place I have to go is how do I make myself happy? Because once I do that, it won't matter what their opinion is of me. It'll only maybe trigger me a little bit, but it won't break me, nor will it won't have the potential to break me. And that's super important. Once you develop your level of measurement with yourself, you want to create amends. You want to make amends with the people that were not happy with you because you couldn't save them, or they got upset because you couldn't sacrifice yourself for them that day because you had something else to do, or you were ill, or you weren't feeling good. In other words, you didn't live up to them. And so we want to eliminate that by making an amends with that person and saying, I normally give my literal everything to you, and I step away from the things I need to take care of for myself in order to be the great mom, or in order to be the great employee. But I notice that when I do that, it's diminishing some other areas of my life, and those people are also getting upset with me. So now that I have overextended myself to everyone, nobody's happy with me, and now I'm not happy with me because I was so busy trying to make all you guys happy and have you guys solidify my own self-definition that I forgot to do anything toward myself. So once you have your self-definitions in place, you recognize your emotional dependencies on the outside world about being validated for those self-definitions. You make amends with that person. You explain to them what you're available for them, and and you give that love to them. And then you set up your own level of measurement, and then you forgive yourself for not achieving, not living up to your own level of measurement that maybe you didn't even have. And that's why you got broken in the first place, because you were so busy worrying about what they thought of you as a mom, or what they thought of you as an employee, or what they thought of you as a wife or a friend or a daughter or a sister or an aunt or an uncle or whatever, wherever that brokenness comes from. It's important that you set up your own level of measurement to avoid inadvertently making somebody feel that you aren't showing up to the table for them. So there is a worksheet that is going to go along with my little chat today, and it is attached in the worksheet section. Just click on the button, it'll bring it up, and you can go through this process that will help you define these different things about yourself. My hope for you is that you'll work on this and look at this through the month of July, and you'll recognize the moments that you are overextending yourself, giving to them. And it's awesome to give to them as long as you're not taking away from yourself, because if you take away from yourself in order to give to them, you will depend on them to validate your self-definition, and you can't do that because that leaves you too many open areas to feel broken. So avoid that. Set up your own level of measurement. Live up to yourself. Live up to your inner promises. Balance out those self-definitions so you know that you can live up to yourself in every area of your self-definition, and you'll find that you are able to forgive yourself, able to love yourself, and you'll be able to love all the people in your life in the way that is in best interest of them and in best interest of you. All sides have to be happy, not just you, not just them, everybody. So I wish you luck. Please reach out, send me text messages or emails. You can post questions on Facebook if you have any questions about any of this, and I look forward to talking to you guys this month at our Ask Nikki session, which will be our free Zoom for just group members. So I hope to see you there. Have a great, great, great rest of your evening. Thanks for taking the time to listen. Bye-bye.